Aloha, greetings and salutations. It is I, Johnny, of the Who the Heaven Is I podcast, brought to you by the Wizardcast. That is the mechanism for getting all of this stuff out. Podcasting is a cool thing. Maybe you want to do a podcast. Well, hit me up. Let's make it happen. Get it crack-a-lackin'. Because obviously, if you're listening to this, something I'm doing is working. That being said, how's everyone doing today? Is your body working? Is your mind working? Is your soul working? As I lie in bed here trying to figure out what am I going to talk about today, I thought about it, and I'm going to go a little outside the box today because I think it rained yesterday, and it's nice after that fresh rain. Things might have a new appearance, a new way for us to look at things, an easier way for us to get outside the box. So, let's open our box and let's just, peek our head outside. What if everything that you thought you knew wasn't real? Dun dun dun. Because I feel like I live in a false reality. What do you mean, Johnny? How do you live in a false reality? Well, if I'm dealing with people and they're not being honest with me and they're withholding information and then I'm making my decisions based upon false information, I'm living in a false reality. But how does that affect you, Johnny? Well, if I want to do something, but people are telling me this isn't the way it is, and I trust them and I believe them, and then I make my decision based upon that, well, then it's not an accurate decision because they're, dun dun dun, withholding information. See, a lot of people, they're doing their thing, and they're, if I'm good now, I'm gonna get into heaven later. And I don't get that philosophy of do good now, get into heaven later, when some of the people that live that way don't really do good now. They do okay. And I get it that we're human. But I'm only talking about specific things that have happened to me from others, and there's no judgment here. This is just observations. So before we go further, let's clear that up. Judgment is, I see you did X, therefore you are bad, therefore you are good. That's outcome related judgment. So you're saying that someone does something and then they become something, right? Whereas observation is, hey, you left the front door open and the chickens came in. That is observation and effect. It is what it is. Now, saying you left the front door open, the chickens came in, and you're a horrible person because of that, or some derivative of that, that is judgment. But what I found in many people that I've dealt with in my life, they take the observations to heart instead of saying, oh, wow, this guy is looking out for me, trying to help me from keeping the chickens out of my house. I mean, unless you want the chickens in the house. But point of the matter is, especially when it's people that I'm really, really close to, whether it be family, spouse, like really good best friends or whatever, they generally, it sounds like they don't want me to tell them that stuff because either they'll get defensive, and I'm like, why? Okay, so you want chickens in your house? Like, and should I just let you leave the door open? Because I don't get that. That you want to live in a chicken coop because chicken come in here, they poop in the coop sometimes, and that can be messy. And I'm looking out for people in their best interest. But this is like, I guess, my gift and my curse. And I don't think it's my gift or my curse because I choose to move slower, because I choose not to run around like a chicken with my head cut off, and I methodically do things. I find the laws of attraction are real as long as I keep that positive mindset. I don't let the clearing of things get in my way, because in the past that was what happened. Like, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart. But you know what? Every time things have quote unquote fallen apart in my life, they've been built back together better because they weren't the right way. And I think the power of your mind is so powerful that people don't utilize it enough. And then they come at me when I do my best to utilize mine and create space and have patience and have awareness and have a plan and do things a certain way that's different than them. Oh, it's a recipe for disaster. Now take in the element of dishonesty. And then it's like, why am I surrounding myself with people that are trying to keep me down and feeding me false information? Well, the answer is, boys and girls, I'm not. And if I recognize a pattern of behavior, it's on me then to say, A, I'm accepting this behavior, and just go with it. B, I'm going to recognize and address the behavior. Or C, I'm getting the next flight out of here to Cairo because I'm going to find out why the pyramids aren't there anymore. But that's kind of all related, because maybe over there people just forgot the basic 11 commandments. Oh, I'll do a whole episode on the 11 commandments because these are really good. A lot of people think there's 10 commandments, but there's really 11. There was one to begin with. People couldn't understand it. But point of the matter is, and this isn't getting all religious, this is truth. If in the Bible, in the 10 commandments, it says, thou shalt not lie, and that's like one of the 10 commandments, like people kind of modify that one. It's kind of like the thou shalt not kill, but we go to war. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Is there an asterisk in the Bible? Well, if you feel that your government tells you have to fight these people because they want to do things, but then that kind of gets away from the root of the matter of having faith and all that stuff, because we're letting the circumstances dictate our religion. So we're living in a modified universe. So we live in a false reality. And so if we go back to the Lord's Prayer, our Father, art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Right? On earth. Well, last time I checked, we are on the EARTH planet. That's the Earth planet. Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to your planet. How do you plan to man it? Well, I plan to man it by following the principles of basic. I don't even know what to call it. It's just basic humanity. Be cool, Don't crap on people. Hey there. I like to have my show. Yeah, but the shit show is coming on later on this evening. Right now, this is the Who the Heaven Is I podcast. So, that being said, I find in my life personally, when I do more to bring peace within myself, when I do more to just be truthful, be honest, and be real, be respectful, things kind of flow. And all you Bible lovers out there, you can go get quotes and stuff like that. But if you make peace with yourself, and get right with the God, then the kingdom of God is within us. It's not some external thing, and the laws of attraction will put those things in our path, is what I've found. And so you work smarter, not harder. I've mentioned it several times in this podcast, but tortoise and the hare, the turtle and the rabbit, dag nabbit. I just don't get it, especially when it's people that are paying me to help them, and I'm doing my best to help them, but then, you know, the honesty is not paramount. Well, then I've got decisions to make, and it's sometimes a heart that will break, and it's mine because I love people and I really want to help them, but they prohibit me from helping themselves when they are reactive as opposed to proactive, especially month after month after month after month that I've given similar advice, and then I realize as much as you love them, you can watch them from such great heights. One of the greatest songs of the years, the 2000s, a song by the Postal Service called "Such Great Heights," and it's a song where the aliens are watching from a distance, and it's like they keep watching from such great heights, come down now, but they'll stay, because they see what's going on. It's like if you watch The Fifth Element, that last scene, where the Fifth Element is watching on the computer all the war and destruction. It's like, what's the point of saving this planet when all you do is destroy it, And, this is why Bruce Willis is the man. He's able to charm the alien. It's like, because I love you, baby. I love you. Lilu, I love you. He doesn't really say it like that, but that would be kind of funny. I should edit that in the video podcast of this. Hoo, hoo, hoo. I just think that love is that secret fifth element. It's not even secret. Like, when you put your heart into something, it amplifies things, and that's in my experience. Like, and so it is what it is. It's disappointing when the people around me, the closest to me, will put filters, will put different elements to prohibit me from making accurate decisions, but them from living authentically. And it's like, we live in a false reality, and this is the cause of every fatality. It is, because think about it. If someone tells you, "Oh," I'm not going to get into it anymore. Let's talk about some fun stuff. Well, I am enjoying life, and I had a great day yesterday because of the philosophies I was just talking about here. I went with my mind, heart, and soul and gut, as opposed to what people were telling me to do, and things just kind of fell into place yesterday. So resources. What resources can I give you when this podcast ends? Like maybe you want to dive in a little bit deeper. And so one thing that I will share in the link, this is a gentleman by the name of Diraj Global. And Diraj is a motivational speaker, a blessed soul in the universe, someone that totally gets what it means to be authentic and altruistic and really put good stuff out into the universe. And so so he takes like books, audiobooks, and then puts some cool music behind it so you can fall asleep listening to it. He has his own philosophical, spiritual audio renderings that you could find either on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube. I believe you can even go to dirajglobal.com. I'll put the link in there. And you can pay a subscription to get his stuff. Now, I found him on this platform called Clubhouse. And unfortunately, Clubhouse kind of sucks now. It was so great when it first came out. I met so many great people on the Clubhouse that like, it's almost like, how did the Clubhouse become so crappy because it was a valuable tool where you could go and just have conversations. And it was a great system where, if you wanted to learn about, investing in Bitcoin, then you could talk about that. If you wanted to talk about astrology, you go talk about that and have conversations with people. And it would put you in contact with all these wonderful people. I went on there a couple days ago. It was no good. I couldn't find anything. There was nothing there was nothing live I could find. I could only find rooms of things that they got too big too quick, and it's sad. I should really talk to my friends that I met on there and ask them if they're still using it and how they are, because I find it to be one of those things where sometimes things don't evolve for the best. And I can't imagine why it would evolve to the way it did, because it was so simple. You log in, you scroll through, you find stuff you like, you could follow things you like. And now um, it, it wasn't easy and it wasn't fluid, and I can't find anything except for recordings. And that being said, I hope you're enjoying this recording. Would you like to hear me do a remix of this stuff? I'm going to do it regardless of whether you want to or not. But I'll put you on the VIPP list. The very interesting personified people. Well, personified, what does that mean? Well, you've personified yourself. You become a person. You live in actuality, not in false reality. And I think sometimes it becomes my own doing of me hanging in there for too long. And so that's one thing that I'm learning how to do is when you knock on the door and people say, "We're not home," but you knocked on the door and the light's on, you heard them say, "We're not home," then that kind of comes to a point where, hey, I don't think this is working for me anymore. So, here's something that I wrote back in February. Um, and it's kind of about what I was talking to. Because straight up, I haven't always been this authentically Johnny in a while. And part of it is because the shame that I'd be given. Like, people make me feel bad for being who I am because I am different. And that's like saying, we only have sports kids that are important. Like the '80s were like all about the sports kids, like the geeks and the nerds. They didn't really have the place in the world. Now it's kind of the reverse. It's almost like sports kids aren't as important as the geeks and the nerds because Silicon Valley is leading us into the future, and that's a whole other thing. But point of the matter is, I wrote this thing called "Apologetically Me," because straight up, sometimes I felt like I wasn't able to kind of be who I was. So here goes. This will probably be a song one day, but right now, I guess you can call it just a lyrical poem. Apologetically Me. All my life, all the world has never witnessed. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Apologetically Me, take two. Apologetically Me. All my life, all the world has ever witnessed is the shell of a man, apologetically me. Attempting to shape, attempting to mold, as if I'm human currency, and they're just after my gold. I've turned a blind eye, flipping cheek to cheek, as peace and harmony have been what I seek. But as I've grown older, my heart burns colder, living in a land where reciprocation is just a fairy tale of our former nation. Is it still in God we trust, as my not so virgin eyes observe much greed and lust? Land of the free, in God we trust, where the rich double down on the poor as we watch the house bust. That's our house. That's our house. A house that's broken, playing cat and mouse. That's our house. That's our house. Just sweep our shit under the carpet as we bounce from spouse to spouse. Yeah, I've come to realize it all started apologetically with me. Yet I'm merely one fruitless branch in this wounded cherry tree. Isn't that peachy? How about them apples? So that is apologetically me. And I haven't talked about it in a bit, so I'm going to get back on the radar. It's still May. It's still Mental Health Awareness Month. Um, and yeah, I'm going to throw out, the obvious one, which is, hey, if you or someone you know is suffering or going through some shiznit and you need some help, 988 is definitely a great number to call. Um, but I would say beyond that, like, be there for people. Like I know a lot of people that are going through stuff, and last thing I want to do is when they lash out on me is to lash out back on them, because I don't find that it's them that's doing that. It's them that's not dealing with stuff that's doing that, and that I found is what the root cause of the stuff is. And so I do my best just to kind of to be compassionate that people go through stuff and they don't always know how to handle it. Now, that being said, if people in my circles that I've been there for and I've kind of reached out for and tried to do my best to help out, and they don't want to take the advice, well, that's on them at that point. And, I'll still love them, but it'll be probably more from a distance because I'm in this game to level up, and I have a mission that I'd like to complete. And I've got goals and values and things. And I went through stuff. And I can only imagine that if I didn't say to myself one day, hey, enough is enough. I'm not tolerating me living like this. It took me to say it. I couldn't, people always want to help me, which was great. But generally, the help that they wanted to give me was their way of help. They never, or usually, I don't think there's only a handful of people, if that, have ever asked, hey, how can I help you? Most people want to be the fixer-uppers, and it's usually they're trying to fix themselves through you. I'm getting off the course of everything. The point of the matter is, be there for people. If it means, having a cup of coffee and just listening, give them that. Now, if this becomes 3 months of coffee talks and you don't see the change, and now all of a sudden you're taking on that negative energy, well, that's on you for not setting your boundaries. And back to the clubhouse thing, man, everything is right about you, Jill. My buddy Jill, like, she told me about like energy bubbles and how to, you got to be comfortable with just, you know, being who you are and connecting with people, but don't letting their energy seep into who you are, because then it will then affect you in a way that isn't you. And it's a balance. I don't want to live in a silo. That's not who I am. But I'm not going to live just in the grassy plains with bullseyes on my heart. Actually, that's what I do. Actually, I have a shirt that's a bullseye on the heart. But point of the matter is, I think when you're unapologetically you, because everyone should be able to be themselves, you feel more comfortable. And sometimes just, offering an ear to someone going through stuff and then giving them politely a perspective differential, giving them a different point of view will allow them to really get if they take it to heart and they're being open-minded, not being defensive. Because I know I was there, man. I was stuck in a rut, and if I had someone that put things to me in a much more calmer, nicer fashion, as opposed to, you're doing it wrong, and like what is right and wrong? Like, that's all circumstantial, especially when you don't know what my goals are. So for mental health awareness, just be nice, be cool, be rizzle dizzle, and that's it. It's the end of this podcast, but the end is always the beginning. Doxt M is immer de aanvangt, and that's not a to be continued, but that was kind of a funny way that I met Wolfgang yesterday, my friend of Kate, and Elsa's that was by her Zen garden, and we were just talking. And at the end, I saw a German flag in his car. That we had that cool little moment because Dox M is immer der Anfang, and I'll leave you with that. Peace and power to your dreams. You can always catch Johnny, on the Insta, the Snap, the Face, but really the best way you want to catch me is in dun dun dun. The cool line is cool because it's where you can kind of leave voicemails and texts and stuff like that. In the Spotify app, you can answer the question of the day and the Q&A, poll question. What should I make it today? Well, first off, the poll question is going to be simple. Do you live in a false reality? Poll question. Do you live in a false reality? And then we'll do the question of the day. How do you give the honest truth to someone that is defensive? This is a mission because I think if people can share the answer on that, I would love to hear how they do it. I have my own methodology for doing things that I've learned to be delicate, gracious, yet honest, real, and firm because at the end of the day, you got to be real. Well, you don't have to be, but if you're not, then it's a chain of events. The dominoes don't fall properly. So, yeah. How do you give the truth to someone that is defensive? And then the poll question is, do you live in a false reality? And then I'm going to throw in the link there, some of my music stuff because I don't really promote that. And, well, I got to flip the switch on the Future 86 podcast. So that's it. Dux M is in with the Anfang. Bye-bye.